In today's education news, and if you're not as furious about this story as I am, have you been working in education over the past few years? Amanda Spielman is to be given a Tory peerage because it was only going to be the Tories who would nominate someone who was basically, in her time as Ofsted chief, just gaslighted the profession and seen the biggest retention crisis directly due to her decisions. And it's good to know that plenty of people in education think the same way, that this is completely inappropriate, and I couldn't agree more. It seems the only person who's sort of defending it and celebrating this is the Michael Gove. If you don't get that reference, you ain't old enough. Now, if you don't work in education and you're thinking, why would you be so angry about this? Let me just talk you through what she did to the profession during her tenure. She was head of Ofsted that introduced deep dives, right? When Ofsted really should just be the only ones deep diving into a bin. She brought that in. So every single teacher in this country, their workload's gone through the roof thanks to her. Because now, not only have you got to be a teacher and do all the responsibilities that come with that, which is harder now than it's ever been before because of the underfunding in education, the lack of funding in other public sectors where teachers have to pick up the pieces. Now you've got to be an expert in a subject that most of us didn't study past GCSE. You've got to know that subject inside out, how it's being taught, any point across the whole year, across the whole school, have reams upon reams of evidence to show the progression of that subject because of their deep dives. That has led directly to a massive increase in workload, which is still the main reason over 40,000 teachers are leaving the profession every year. Think back to COVID times where literally overnight our jobs completely changed with no support, especially from Ofsted. They didn't do anything to help teachers. Instead, thought it'd be a good idea to do online inspections. And she, time and time again, kept saying that COVID could not be used as an excuse for why children might be struggling with certain aspects of their learning. She kept peddling this nonsense that COVID has had no impact on children. When she decided to step down from a role, completely backtracked and said it has had a huge impact. But it was too late then when we were all being inspected, given crappy grades because inspectors were told, you can't let them use COVID as an excuse. But obviously it goes without saying, the worst thing about Amanda Spielman is the fact that she was head of Ofsted, who were found to have been guilty in contributing to the death of the brilliant head teacher, Ruth Perry. The coroner who presided over Ruth Perry's inquest said that the Ofsted inspection was at times rude and intimidating, and it was carried out in a way that lacked fairness, respect and sensitivity. She was the one in charge. She was the leader, the glue to all of those minions. And rather than accepting the role that Ofsted played here and showing some remorse, no. What Spielman did is continued to defend Ofsted, saying the inspectors did nothing wrong, even though an internal investigation from Ofsted showed that the response to Ruth Perry's death was defensive and complacent, which just about sums Spielman up. Should be nowhere near the House of Lords. Should have never been near the head of Ofsted. I mean, I'm sure there was almost like a protest when she got put in charge, because it was like, why is she being put in charge? She brings nothing to the table. But again, it's all about who you know, which is the reason she's getting this peerage. What this sort of proves to me is what an absolute shambles and a joke the whole House of Lords peerage thing is if she's getting in. I mean, it's a joke and just shows the complete and utter lack of contempt the previous government has for teachers and education. Her direct role in creating the biggest retention crisis we've ever seen, teachers leaving the profession in their thousands, the mental health crisis within education, the fact we know Ruth Perry was not the only person who, due to those pressures, that scrutiny, that lack of fairness, that inconsistency, because of Ofsted's inspections, Ruth Perry we know was not the only person to have taken a life, but that's what you get rewarded with now.